Can this tiny amp that fits in the palm of your hand power this huge system with 8 absolutely massive 15s in it? Let's find out, guys. In today's video, we have the very smallest amp that Taramps makes in their base line. This is the base 400 watt amp, and we're going to be hooking it up to my big system with the 8 Avatar 15-inch subs. Of course, guys, these are big monster subs with 4-inch coils, and hey, there's 8 of them. We're going to see, can this guy push him, and what's it going to do to him? I am so excited to see what this thing can do. Now, I just want to say, my good friend, Big D Wiz, over at Williston Audio Labs, made kind of a similar video a couple weeks ago, and that kind of inspired me to do this, but I also had already had this kind of in mind anyway, but seeing that, kind of lit it back up, and I said, hey, let's go ahead and do this. So thank you, man, for the inspiration to get back on this. So let's get to it. First up, of course, let's check out this amp. Guys, I have pretty small hands, and it fits in my hand, no problem. Tiny little fella over here. Of course, we have our positive, negative, and remote, and then our speaker outputs over there. And then on this side, we've got our bass boost and frequency, subsonic filter, low pass filter, and level, which is of course your gain. And we've got low level inputs and high level inputs if we needed them. Well, just how small is this guy? Let's find out. About 4.5 inches wide, about 6.5 inches tall, and just under 2 inches deep. Let's see how this guy lines up to the big boy. Teeny. Hey, still teeny compared to the 8K. Down here, we've got a Trio 3K. Still tiny. Here's a Smart 8K bass. Tiny compared to that. Another 8K. Still tiny. Here's a bass 1200. And, okay, that's a little more like it. Now, I know what you're thinking. The guy making Taramps videos, showing off all the Taramps that he has, must be sponsored by Taramps. And I gotta say, that is actually 100% not correct, guys. Taramps has helped me out with a couple videos in the past. They have sent me a few amps, but paid full price for this guy. And I've never ever been sponsored by Taramps. They've never paid me to do or say anything. That being said, we of course are sponsored by Alfred Audio. Of course, the owner of Deathbonce and Avatar, both of which are brands that I run a bunch of. So, quick word from them, guys, and back to the video. Real quick, guys, gotta give a huge shout out to today's sponsor, Alfred Audio. Super appreciate them for being such a huge supporter of the channel this year. It's really been a huge help. As you know, pretty much had a full Alfred Audio build in the Sequoia for the last show that we did, and we ran their massive 20K amp over here. It did absolutely great. Now, speaking of amps, really excited to say that they have come out with a new line of amps that is their MFA lineup. This is a new series of 2 and 4 channel amps, and what makes them different is 1, they are super compact, really small amps. 2, they put a ton of just time and effort into developing them, into making them really, really nice. They're a Class D amplifier, but they have exceptional quality, use nice components, everything they needed to make sure there was no noise, none of that junk coming through your system. Got especially for a nice 4-channel amp or 2-channel amp. You want crisp music coming through your speakers. You don't want buzzing. You don't want noise. So that is really what they were going for with these amps. Thinking about getting one myself to run. If you let me do that, guys, let me know. I think that would be cool. But yeah, guys, if you want to go check out those amps, there will, of course, be a link to Alfred Audio in the description below. So go check that out. Once again, huge thank you to them. Now back to the video. All right, guys, this is, of course, the system with the 8 Avatar 15s. Absolutely awesome subs. And for the last couple weeks, we have been powering them with this Smart 16K amp. Of course, a 16,000 watt amp. Just to give y'all a little bit of a comparison here, this guy is tiny. Going to be super interesting to see what this guy does. Now, I've got these guys wired up to 0.5 ohm. This amp over here is a 2 ohm stable amp. Best I could tell, they don't make the base 400. Anything lower than a 2 ohm version. I know the 1200 that I have is a 1 ohm version, so kind of interesting to see what this guy can do. Now, I could wire these guys up to 2 ohms, but then really going to be sacrificing a lot of power, and with such a small amp, you know, we want our ohms to be as low as possible. So I don't know, guys. Maybe I'll start out with 2 ohms, see what this guy can do, and then go down to half an ohm and see what happens. See if, hey, this guy blows. Who knows? But regardless, going to be interesting. So I've got this wired up to about 2 ohms, as you can see right there. So we're looking good. Just got the little fella hooked up over here. So we've got some of this old, it's like between 6 and 4 gauge wire. Barely able to get it into there, but in there nice and neat, nothing poking out. Then we got my wires ran into here for the outputs. Remote wire. Got this all wired up here. Let's see what she does. All right, fellas, the moment of truth. Power this guy on. All right. She is on. Everything seems to be good. Well, let's go ahead and set these filters. We're going to leave bass boost and bass boost frequency alone. Subsonic, we're going to leave alone. Low pass. Doesn't really matter because we have it set at the head unit, but we can set it. We'll set it like 75 or something. Doesn't really matter. Gain. We'll start it out at about halfway. We can maneuver it from there. Hey, what do you think of that? Hey, at 2 ohms, they're not moving like crazy by any means, but it actually sounds pretty good. Little amp putting in some work. Y'all, that is crazy. That poor little amp putting in some work. It goes to show that if you have a ton of surface of a cone area, hey, you don't need a lot of power. That being said, these subs are not soft subs. Hey, really stiff subs, and this little amp is pushing 8 of these pretty stiff subs. And hey, it really sounds not too bad. Honestly, just for everyday driving around, I wouldn't have it a ton louder anyway. Hard to say how long that amp would go being pushed hard like that, but I played a couple songs there, one of them all the way through nonstop. Hey, it ended up doing all right. All right, we've got this guy wired at 2 ohms. Next up, we're going to wire it down to half an ohm. Now, the way this is set up, I can either have it ran at 2 ohms or half an ohm. Cannot do it at 1 ohm, unfortunately. I think this guy would do totally fine at 1 ohm, but hey, half an ohm could be the death of it. So basically, the way we have this done, each one of these coils is 2 ohms. I then have each pair, this pair and this pair, ran in series up to 4 ohms. Then I have these guys and these 2 guys ran together into here, which is what drops it down to 2 ohms. So to get this down to half an ohm, we just got to change each of these pairs from being ran in series to ran in parallel. That'll drop us down to half an ohm. All right, this guy is now wired to half an ohm. Let's see what'll happen. So far, so good. Nope, did not like that. Okay, as soon as I turned it up, amp just, quickly cut off. So we're gonna restart it, see what happens. All right, let's see if this guy comes on. And it does. And it's working again. Okay, hey, well, it does play at half an ohm. That being said, if I turned it up too much, it would just go into protect. So, but hey, for a 2 ohm amp, not surprised. And for really cheap, small Taramps, which honestly in the past have been known for blowing when they were ran too low, stuff like that. Back in the day, that was a big thing. Kind of nice to see that they have the protection in these things now to where they don't just blow if you run them at, too low of a load, that sort of thing. So super stoked on this little guy, honestly. YouTube, there you have it. The very smallest bass amp that Taramps makes, coming in at only about 80 bucks, was able to power those Monster 8 pretty stiff 15-inch subs, and it actually got down, sounded decent, rattled the car pretty good. If you want to go grab this amp, we'll have a link to Amazon in the description below, guys. If you need a super tiny amp that puts out the power, this guy's got you covered. Also link a couple of the little bit bigger options too. I'll probably do the 1200, maybe a 3K as well. These really are sweet little amps. They have updated them so much since the early days of Taramps. Protections work good. They get down. They put out the power. Couldn't be happier, guys. All right, that's gonna do it for this video. Y'all, I appreciate each and every one of you so much. Go to my Facebook page, doing some giveaways there. Might be giving this guy away. Don't really have a good use for it, so yeah, if you want to be in on the giveaways, go to my Facebook page. Again, I appreciate you guys so much, but that's going to do it for this video. Remember, as always, guys, keep basing on. Real cool, guys, Custom Speaker Pods has got all their speaker pods and their grills, the good old thumb covers, in a bunch of new designs. We've got this carbon fiber looking design, got some kind of metallic looking designs. So other stuff besides just the straight black that they have had in the past. Guys, if you want to save 10% on these things, there'll be a link in the description below. Click that link and use my code. I believe it is PTB for Parker the Basshead. That will be in the link below, guys, so go check it out. Save big on these things.